Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6 of Otome Tropes.
I'm Vki.
And I'm Vka.
And we are sisters who play Otome games. So at the beginning of every episode, we talk about who we are doing this week. So we talk about which allies route we're going through.
Alright, Vki. Who are you doing this week?
So it's not just a one person. It's not just one ally.
Okay.
I have been playing a lot of Obey Me this week.
Nice.
Yeah, because there have been a lot of new chapters that I needed to get caught up on, and I can't say anything about the new chapters because it's super spoilery. But I gotta say, I love Obey Me.
Mm-hmm.
I love all of the characters in Obey Me. There is a lot about Diavolo.
Oh.
In the more recent chapters.
Cool.
I'm not gonna say anything else about it, but I am gonna say you get to interact with him a lot more.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm into it.
Yay, I can't wait till I get there. I'm way behind Vki in this.
I know you are.
I know.
I'm super it takes a lot. You gotta grind.
Yeah.
You gotta grind. Yeah.
No, I'm way more into who I'm doing this week.
And who are you doing this week?
It's like every week I go back to the same character. Again, I have continued on with Shiraishi's route.
Uh-huh.
And you know what?
What?
It's getting really good.
Is it?
It's really getting good. I actually figured out, I think I know what his whole background thing is. And I get why he's like the way he is. I still don't love it. I still don't love the way he treats the main character.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing more into his past and seeing what his current situation is like and why he's interested in her is really interesting. And it's super plot heavy. I'm learning a lot of secrets about the plot of the game, and yeah, I'm into it. I like it a lot, actually.
You're loving it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not loving it, but
you're liking
it.
You're liking it. That's McDonald's newest slogan. I'm liking it.
It's just okay.
It's just okay. So today we're going to continue to talk about tropes in Otome games in part 4, and at least for now, the last part of our series, Why Would You Do This?
So this is the last for now.
Yeah. If you guys have more tropes that you think of that you want us to talk about, and if we come up with more tropes, then we may bring it back later, but we think that 4 in a row is enough for right now. We'll be moving on next week.
Yeah.
This is the spoilery episode, though. There are going to be spoilers for Hanasaku Mani Mani. There are going to be spoilers for Hakuoki. There are going to be spoilers for Piofiore episode 1926, which is the sequel, and there are going to be spoilers for Code Realize. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for those 4 games, then this particular episode is probably not for you. However, if you don't mind hearing the spoilers, then we can move on ahead.
Yay! Okay. I'm so excited to talk about our first trope. This is one of my favorite tropes. Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun again here. I'm telling you guys my opinion before we even start.
That's okay, still love you.
So, my trope, the trope that we're talking about now, is the ally is dying.
The ally is dying?
Yes, he's dying.
Really?
Yeah, I love this trope so much.
Tell me about it.
So, we've talked about Hanasaku Mani Mani before in this game, and this is the character that you had mentioned before.
Yeah.
We were talking about tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis.
And how everybody gets tuberculosis in these historical games. This character, Taniwasuke, he gets tuberculosis in this game. And the whole series, not the whole series, but the very end of the game, a really big point of contention between the two of them is I'm dying, but no, I want to be with you. But no, don't die. And so they have to try to figure out how they're going to keep him alive, what the whole situation is with the TB. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that is a really interesting part of the trope of the ally is dying, because if the ally is dying, how are you going to be together? You have to figure that out.
Yeah.
And in Wasuke's route, it's really interesting because in his good end, he dies.
Yes.
Of tuberculosis. And why is that the good end? I don't know. I don't think that's very good. Because
doesn't she have his children?
Yeah, she ends up giving birth to his child, and he dies of tuberculosis.
Yeah.
But in his best end, they figure it out. They end up traveling back to the future, which is, we're not talking about the movie, don't copyright me. They travel back to the future, where, you know, TB is treatable now, and he gets treated for tuberculosis, and they live happily ever after in the future together.
Yeah, it's great. It was really interesting to play this whole game with everybody's wearing, like, kimono and very traditional clothing, and at the very end of his scene, he's, like, wearing normal people clothes, and she's wearing average clothes.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
But TB is the thing, because that's not the only Li is dying trope.
No, he is not the only Li to be dying of TB, because in Hakuoki, we have Okita Soji also dying of TB. Tuberculosis,
the killer of men in Otome games.
Yes. Yeah. So in Okita's route, that's the Li is dying. This isn't actually a huge point of contention in the relationship between him and Chizuru. It's a big point of contention in the plot, though.
Yeah.
Because Okita, he wants to be helpful to the Shinsengumi.
Right.
He wants to be able to go do his job, but since he has tuberculosis, since he's really sick, nobody's letting him do his job. He just has to, like, lie in bed all day. And it is the reason why he ends up, you know, drinking the little potion and becoming a Rasetsu, becoming a Fury. And because as soon as he does that, his tuberculosis gets quote-unquote put on hold.
Right. And
he's not technically dying anymore.
No, he's not cured.
No, he's not cured.
It's just put on hold. It's like pressing the pause on TB.
Yeah, pressing the pause on TB. And that's really interesting, because they explain it a couple of different ways as to how exactly that happens. But he does become stronger, and he can go back and do his job. But he's also kind of technically dead.
Yeah, but I mean, that's also why he wants to do it, because in his normal body, he can't do his job.
Yeah.
So becoming Rasetsu, like, helps him fulfill his goal, you know?
Yeah.
Man. His end, it killed me.
Yeah,
because so, yeah.
It's really interesting, because I remember even in his good end, I know that there's an end where he becomes human again, which means he's dying of tuberculosis again.
Right.
And there's nothing, like, he and Chizuru are living together, and there's nothing that they can do about it. But there's also the bad end, where he and Chizuru just get murdered to death.
Murder. It's bound to happen.
That should be the tagline of, like, all Ultimate games. Murder. It's bound to happen.
Yeah. The whole Li is dying trope.
Yeah, and it happens in a couple of other games, but these are, like, the two big ones, and also they're the tuberculosis ones. Tuberculosis, man.
Yeah, like there are cases where Li is dying in other games where something happens in the middle of the plot, and, you know, they're sentenced to death, or something happens to them and they have to somehow save his life. But this one, like, from the get-go,
they're dying.
They're dying.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
Yeah, she meets them and they already have contracted TB.
Yep. It's a shame.
So Vka, what do you think of the Li is dying? What do you think of this trope?
I hate to say it, but I do like it.
You do?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Oh, gosh. I just... Not because I like the fact that the Li is dying and I low-key, like, just want to have my romance with him and then, you know, walk off into the sunset without being tied to a man.
No strings attached.
But, I think, like many, like, romantic novels or romance movies, the whole one main character is dying brings another, like, aspect of emotion to the plot. You know what I mean?
You like the angst.
I like the angst, yeah. But not all angst, obviously. Like, I'm not a big fan of the whole, like, your brother, I'm your sister. Like, not that angst.
No
like,
siblings.
I'm not into that. I'm not into the sibling thing. But this one, I don't know. I'm kind of down for a good cry every once in a while.
You down for a good cry. How did you feel when Wasuke died?
Honestly, I don't really remember. I was
half asleep.
Probably half asleep when this happened.
I remember very, very specifically because it was the last route.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get the best end, not the good end, because I was flying back to Japan the next morning.
Yeah.
And it was 2 a.m. And Vka was, like, half asleep on her bed, and I had just finished, and I was reading through it, and I was like, this can't be right. This can't be right. She's pregnant, and he's dead? And I just stopped, and I sat up and I said, Vka, Wasuke died. And she sat up and said, what?
Yeah, my sleep was broken. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to go for the best end, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, how could he die in his best end?
Yeah.
And his route was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, his route was a lot of fun.
His route was fun, but yeah, we ended up, like, skipping through the entire route again, figuring out what I did wrong. I ended up going home at, like, 3:30 in the morning. That was fun.
Yeah, but I like this trope. I have fond memories of this trope. What do you think?
So, I do have fond memories of this trope just because of that situation that I just described. But I'm not a huge fan, you know? Once again, I'm not big into that angst. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like there's enough difficulties in a budding romantic relationship anyways without adding the I'm dying aspect into it. And if someone has tuberculosis, that makes it extra hard because you really shouldn't be around people who have tuberculosis.
You could contract
it's
tuberculosis.
Very contagious. I remember when I was in college in Tokyo, one person in my school contracted tuberculosis, and they had to have every single person who had been in class with him, like any of his classes, had to go get tested.
Wow.
So it was like 150 people at my school had to go get tested just because they had been in the same general vicinity as this person.
Yeah.
It's like
infectious diseases, man.
Yeah, like don't do that. So it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So the next trope that the next trope that we're going to talk about, this is actually the trope that started this series.
Oh, yes.
This is the trope that I came up with because I was like, wait a second, I have seen this trope in other Otome games, and it's so
specific.
It's so specific. And
okay, what's the trope?
MC has a secret brother who hates her for being happy and wants to ruin her life.
It's so specific.
And we came up with 3 different games that have this trope.
Yeah.
So I think let's talk about the first 2 games, and then the last game we're going to talk about is the one that really made me notice that this was a trope.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is Hakuoki.
Yeah.
And in Hakuoki, Chizuru, the main character, it turns out that she has a secret twin brother named Kaoru, and they were raised separately, and they're both demons. So he was raised in a separate household, and
knowing he was a demon.
Chizuru
did not know she was a demon.
No, she grew up thinking that she was a regular human, having a regular old life. But the reason why they were separated is because demon girls were really, really rare. And so when this other demon family was given Kaoru to raise, he was like horribly mistreated, and Chizuru was raised in a really loving family, and he really, really resents her for that. And he ends up cross-dressing to get close to her.
So he actually looked a lot like her.
Yeah, no,
that was the weird thing.
Yeah, they're not, I mean, obviously they're like
twins.
They're twins, but they're not identical twins, but they do look a lot alike. But he cross-dresses and like becomes her friend, and then reveals all, and like tries to ruin her life and tries to kill her.
That's dark, man. That's so dark.
Yeah.
I would hate that.
Yeah, but this is not the only game that this happens in.
That's true. So, when I played Code Realize, I got really excited because I found out that Cardia had a secret brother who also wanted to ruin her life. Like, the whole thing with Finis is that he has this huge inferiority complex because to his father, Cardia is the most important. Like, she's the key to his whole master evil plan. And, I mean, that's what the whole game is named after. Code Realize, that's the plan. But, so Finis was never valued by his father, and every time he, like, interacts with Cardia, he just belittles her, and he, like, delights and enjoys making her feel absolutely horrible. And he just generally, like, he hates his sister so much because he wants approval in his father's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad. Like, this game drove me crazy because I was like, you don't even really get to understand why he does the things that he does, and he doesn't, like, you don't ever get closure with him. I do know that there is a, like, redemption arc for him in Wintertide Miracles, which I'm super excited to play, but I haven't played it yet, so I don't really know what's going to go on there. But at least in the first game, which is the only one that I played, you never really get closure with Phineas.
Okay. You'll have to tell us about it after you play Wintertide Miracles.
Yeah, but he also kind of looks a little bit feminine as well. Like, he's got these two little, like, round space buns on his head, and...
He does.
He's very cute, but he's super evil.
Yeah, evil brothers, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, the last game, and this is the most recent game that we've played that has this trope in it, is Piofiore Episodio 1926, and the Liliana, the MC. So she was, she's an orphan, and she was raised by the church, and it turns out that after her parents gave her up to the church, they ended up adopting a little boy because he had the same eye color as she did. And his name is Teo, and he was really happy for a little while, and then her parents got horribly murdered in front of him, and he ended up being raised by the church, but not in a nice, loving church. He was raised to be an assassin.
Wow.
And so he knows that Lily was raised by the church and ended up, like, being really happy for most of her life, even though she was an orphan. And then, like, she gets a lover, even though she went through all these trials and tribulations in the first game. And he sees that, and he's like, well, I can't let that happen.
Gotta ruin my sister's life.
Yeah, so he's the main antagonist in this second game. And this is, I mean, obviously this is super, super spoilery, but he goes out of his way to set things up for her to make her life as miserable as possible, and not necessarily to murder her, but to murder everyone she loves.
Yeah, I think in a few routes he does murder the Li.
Yeah, or he sets them up to be
murdered. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you expect in a game full of gangsters?
Yeah, Piofiore has a lot of murder.
Yeah.
So does Hakuoki and Code Realize. All of these games have a lot of murder.
Yeah.
They have murder and evil brothers.
Murder and evil brothers, those are the things that are in common.
Yeah.
What do you think about the trope?
I thought it was really interesting the first time I saw it.
And then you saw it 3 more times.
Yeah, and you know, by the third time you see it, you're just kind of like, this is really oddly specific. And it's a hard trope to enjoy if it's, like, overly specific and the reasons for the secret brother hating the sister are the same. Which it is.
Yeah,
they're the
same every time.
And so, actually, we should look up who the scenario writers are in these games.
That would be an interesting thing to find out.
Yeah, because all of these are Ultimate games.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if it's the same scenario writer for all of them.
We'll have to look into that and let you guys know.
Is there one scenario writer for Ultimate who just really likes this trope?
But it is the same trope every time. She has a secret brother who is basically just jealous of her.
Yeah.
And he wants to ruin her life because she got the life that he didn't get to have.
Yeah. So what do you think of this trope?
I don't hate it. Like, I do think it's really interesting, and to be honest, I generally just feel bad for them. Like, I feel bad for the brothers, to be honest, because it's super sad.
It is sad. Why would you do that?
Why would they do that to
Why
these
would you do that?
But then again, why would you make someone die of TB?
Once again,
why would you do that? Okay, I get it. Yeah, I don't mind the trope so much. The MC has a secret brother who hates her for being happy, but then wants to ruin her life. Like, I don't mind it. I think it's an interesting spin on a game that would otherwise just be meh or okay.
Yeah. So, we have these 2 tropes now that we have to compare.
Yeah.
Which one do we like better? So, we have the Li is dying, or MC has a secret brother who hates her for being happy and wants to ruin her life.
So, I want to say that my favorite is MC has a secret brother who hates her for being happy and wants to ruin her life. Because it's super specific and like really, really overly specific. But I really like Ella is dying.
You really like
Ella
I
like the angst.
You like the angst.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
What about you?
So,
if you had to choose between the two,
I want to say that Ella is dying, but I have to say MC has a secret brother who hates her for being happy and wants to ruin her life. Just because I take so much joy out of noticing this trend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I doubt I'm the first one to notice this trend, but I feel proud of myself for noticing it. So I'm going to go with MC has a secret brother who hates her for being happy and wants to ruin her life.
Overly specific.
We'll have to agree
Way
to disagree.
Too specific. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week, everyone.
Yeah,
Sorry for all the spoilers, but we hope you enjoyed.
And that is the end for now of our Why Would You Do That series.
Yes.
So next week we're going to be talking about something else. Please tune in to see what it is. Mm-hmm. As always, you will get a preview probably on Friday, and then we will be streaming on Sunday at noon Pacific Standard Time. On Twitch. We also have an Instagram and a Twitter if you would like to follow us there. Don't forget to subscribe and like wherever you are listening to us. Mm-hmm. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.